What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Andy Coach, Rock Stronghold, aka Anabolic State of Mind, aka George Caliors. Hitting up some of these dynamic effort squats, coming down on my taper for the competition that is actually tomorrow, the 14th. If you're out in Stoughton or in Madison, come check it out at Stark Buick GMC. Hitting up these squats with 225, 10 sets of 3, trying to make it as fluid as possible. See, the first couple reps were a little rough, but then as I start warming up, they got a little more fluid. Still pretty fast, and that's the name of the game. A little bit of technique might be sacrificed for the speed, but you still want to maintain the best technique that you can while producing maximal velocity, which will eventually turn into maximal force. Hit up some of these repetition box squats for sets of 10. I did 255 and then 275 for 2 sets of 10. Just trying to go ham on them. Sit back into the squat. I haven't done box squats in a long time, but I really love the box squat. Trying to keep the shins vertical, so you're actually using your hip hinge and your hips and sitting back onto the box enough. And then I was supersetting with these kettlebell swings, which was frying my hips. This is a 79-pound kettlebell. Watch how deep I let it pull me into that hip hinge. So my hips are actually going to 90 degrees or more flexion, which is real good for pulling the hamstrings, using the kettlebell as a pull through to get the hips, the hamstrings, the back, everything fired up. The traps get fired up, your calves even get fired up because of the way you have to balance on it. I love heavy kettlebell swings. Light kettlebell swings don't do a whole lot unless you're just trying to do like 100 of them in a row or something. I've done that before too. I've done 5 minutes of kettlebell swings and snatches. But working on these box squats for that starting strength off the floor with stuff like the stones or the tire flip, things like that, has a good carryover for it. Trying to be explosive towards the top. I should have put bands down, but it is a deload, so I wasn't trying to go in too hard. For something like this, maybe I will put bands down in the future, because I do love the box squat. I'm very good at it. I had a lot of practice on it. And with some heavy bands, it can turn into a really fun exercise. So you can see now that my hip hinge is a little bit more warmed up, I'm letting it pull me deep into that swing, that hip flexion, almost to the point where my chest is like parallel to the ground. And that's kind of where you want to be at with a swing. You don't necessarily need to pull it up over your head by a squat like they do in CrossFit with these American swings. You're trying to emphasize in this exercise, you're trying to emphasize the posterior chain. Especially if you're doing CrossFit and stuff, I know that you guys are going to be doing a lot of squats. You really need to work on heavy swings and heavy pull-throughs for the hips, the hamstrings, stuff like that. The lower back, everybody always complains about the lower back getting tired. Just working that hip hinge is going to be huge, dude. And then I just drag the sled again. I love dragging the sled. It makes my quads feel nice. It makes my hips feel nice. Gets your heart rate up. And I did how many? 10 or 12 of that. Tried taking a little break. I would go down, spin the sled around, and come back. So it was, I say 10 or 12, but it was really my normal route. But it was like 6 runs that I did. So I think I did 12 altogether. If that makes any sense. It makes sense in my head. But that's it. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk at the camera a little bit about how exactly my taper went for this. So, for this taper, or this, getting ready for the competition, I peaked my way up to building heavy sets of heavy weight, or a few sets of heavy weight, stuff like the squat, log press, and the deadlift that you guys already probably saw. Did the squats with 375 for 3 sets of 2, log press 2 sets of 3 and a set of 2 with the 190. A lot of dumbbell jerks for reps. And then with the deadlift, I did a max effort, 525 pull, which ended up being pretty good. I ain't mad about it. I'm actually pretty stoked about it. Gotta stop being so modest about my lifting, because it's leaving me unfulfilled. I need to be happy. And that's alright. It's alright to be a little arrogant when you're trying to get ahead. So I did those lifts, and then I started coming back down. I hit 335 on the squat for 3 sets of 8.
I did reps with 385 on the deadlift for 3 sets of 8. Log pressed, I only hit 165 for 5 sets of 5 because I was had a little bit of a workout hangover from those squats the day before. And then hit some dynamic effort with the deadlift. So 8 sets of 3 every 30 seconds with about 50%. It was 255 plus blue bands every 30 seconds, 3 reps. And then for the squat, I did 225 for 10 sets of 3 and then some box squats. I still do accessory work. I think that's a huge component of getting ready for a competition because that's the stuff that got you there in the first place. So if you're gonna do anything, make the main lift a lot lighter and still hit your accessory works pretty light. You don't have to do a ton of it, but still do your stiff leg deadlifts and your rows and your goblet squats or box squats, sled pulls, stuff like that. Triceps, biceps, shoulder stuff, all that stuff, so you can actually keep the muscle that you just built and that you don't get out of shape, you don't get deconditioned from it, you don't start losing weight because you're not working out. So you might as well do some of that stuff. For the circus dumbbell, I ended up just doing a 55-pound dumbbell clean and jerk for 12 reps, then a arm over arm sled pull, then I would push the sled back, then I would do 12 toes to bar. And I did that for 4 rounds, so I got some conditioning in too. I hit some bench for 3 sets of 10 with 185. And then I think I just did a couple things of triceps and face pulls. And then I've been hitting a lot of dumbbell rows, single arm dumbbell rows. Those have been feeling really good. What the frick else have I been doing? For this week leading up to it, I've just been hitting like 15-20 minute conditioning circuit sets with kettlebells or body weight, that sort of thing, so I can get my heart rate up, I can feel good, I can break a sweat, but I'm not using a ton of weight. I think the most I used was a 53-pound kettlebell. No, a 70-pound kettlebell, but then I went down 53. Then yesterday I did a 35-pound kettlebell and box jumps and 14-pound wall ball. So really it wasn't too bad. I'm not really sore from it, but I have a pretty decent pump from it still. I can feel my body that I worked it, but I'm not fatigued at all, which is kind of where I want it to be. I figured out that getting closer to the competition, my conditioning would suffer because these heavier sets would take longer rests, trying to hit these heavier weights up. So I wanted to get back in shape a little bit and devoted about a week and a half, doing some construction over there, a week and a half to a week of conditioning for it. And that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what's going to happen, because that tire flip and that keg carry that I had to do last time was crushing me, and it should not have crushed me that bad. The sprint with the yoke wasn't bad, but this is going to be 5 events at this competition, and they're going to be heavy as shit. I got a lot of things going on, but that's all I'm going to talk about for now. So make sure you like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching.